you figure out 3 hacks to determine the way that your partner, your children, or clients are actually thinking. What is that hack to better understand them and help empathize with them to be able to do better deals? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about neurolinguistics programming. So this is NLP. You can Google it. It's all over the place. This is like a hack for establishing quick trust and rapport, right? So how do we do that? Well, first we need to understand who they are. So as a realtor, okay, what I would do is I ask them questions. So if I'm sitting with a seller, I would say, hey, how old's your roof? How old are your windows? If I wanted information about how my husband processes information, I might ask him, what did you have for dinner last night? Or my child, what did you do at school today? Who'd you actually hang out with? So when you ask a question where they're forced to recall information, pay attention to their eyes, okay? So this is a very sad, happy-faced gentleman here. So if the person that you're speaking with, when you've asked them to recall information, they look up like this, they're a visual learner. They process information visually, okay? If they look to the sides, they're auditory. They process information by hearing. If they look down at a basic level, they're kinesthetic. That means they're touch people. They learn by doing, okay? So little hacks will be, if they're a visual processor, they use words like, I see that, I see you, right? If they're an auditory processor, they use their hearing to process information. They would say, I hear you, right? I use a lot of I hear you because I process through my ears. So if they're kinesthetic, they use a lot of I feel that information, okay? Now, why is that important? Well, let's say you're dealing with someone you're having relationship with and you're communicating with someone, and let's say you're an auditory person like me, but the person that you're speaking with is a visual person. And now we're having a phone call and I'm telling them about information in an offer. I'm giving them the details of the offer over the phone because somehow I thought that was a great idea because that's how I learn and that's how I process. Well, they have just missed a large portion of what I've actually said, right? And then a week later, when I say to them, hey, remember with the offer that we talked about that I said there was this and this in it? And they'll literally say, no, you didn't say that. And then what happens? Now trust is broken, rapport is broken, and it will be a quick race to see who fires who first, right? And who has DNA on that? That's always our question. When something happens, who has DNA on that? Did I contribute in any way? So the answer to that question is, in this circumstance, absolutely I did. Because I didn't take the time to figure out that Mr. and Mrs. Seller were visual people or kinesthetic. And I tried to offer information to them through a phone call where they're listening, but they're not seeing it, or they don't have a pen with an offer in front of them to be able to doodle if they're a kinesthetic, okay? So you have to understand who you're in relationship with, who you built trust and rapport with, and to understand how to best serve that person, right? So how do we create trust and rapport? Well, this is one way. So we've talked about everybody's learning style and that learning style that they most value, what's most important to them. And always remember this. Do you treat people the way you would want to be treated? You know, that's always something that's been said through the years, right? Well, no. The highest form of customer service is I treat others the way they would like to be treated. So even though I may only want text messages, I could be dealing with a client that only wants phone calls or only wants emails. So what we do is we teach our agents to say, Listen, what's your preferred method of communication? Would you like text, email, or a phone call? And then other than emergencies, we're gonna stick to that form of contact, okay? Now, if you know me, I'm a texter. That's my preference. My preference is always you text me first, right? Because I'm auditory and I'm visual and I do have a kinesthetic component, okay? So when people are busy, they're probably going to go to texting, they're probably going to go to email as their first method of communication. And frankly, who doesn't answer a text now, right? All right. So some of the other things about NLP and some hacks you can use in terms of, even just serving people better would be, you want to see when people are kind of finished with a conversation. Like, when are they done? And you could use this as a hack too at maybe in a new social setting, maybe you're at a cocktail party, you're hanging out in a bar with some people. How do you tell when someone is done with the conversation, right? So where do you look on their body? Just think about that for a second. Where would you look on someone else's body to see if they're done with the conversation? If you said feet, you're 100% correct, okay? So the biggest hack is just to glance down, and when you start to see someone's foot turn, their foot is turned away from you, even just one, their toes starting to point, they're done with the conversation. And what it generally means is that you don't have enough of a rapport with that person to keep them in conversation. And why is that, right? Like, how does that happen? So, talking about social EQ, all right, and how we determine if someone is, connected to us and in trust and rapport, is we can play a little game, all right? So what we're gonna do is when we're talking with, let's say, someone new that we've met, we're going to do something called follow, lead, right? And what this is you are going to follow their body language 2 times in a row. So let's say they're standing there and they put both hands on their hips and kind of lean back, right? So you're gonna wait a couple seconds and you're gonna do the same thing. Please don't look awkward, okay? And then let's say the next thing they do is they kind of like lean forward on a raised table and put one arm up under their head. So you're gonna wait a couple seconds and you're gonna do the same thing, right? Then, because you've done a follow in terms of mirror and matching their body language, you're also working to match their tone, their cadence, their volume of speech, right? So once you've done that, then you're gonna do something that you would do. So now maybe I'm gonna stand back and maybe I just cross my arms a little bit gently, right? So if they do what I've done, I now know that they are technically like latched on, okay? We are now in trust and rapport and we're building a relationship. We're speaking the same language. If they don't follow me, I now have to go back and repeat the process again. So now I have to go back and again, follow, lead, until they're in a place where they now follow me with that body language. So that's a big hack for developing quick trust and rapport, right? Now, people trust people who are like themselves, right? And they trust people who they also aspire to be. So let's say you're out there and you want to make new friends and you're out in some social situation. You need to match where they are. So you need to, match where they are in terms of their energy that they're bringing up, in terms of, again, their speech, their cadence, even some of the words they're using. So if they're saying, I hear you, right? I hear you. Or they keep using the word crib to, describe their house, right? Then you would start doing the same thing. Now, could this be interpreted as being manipulative? Like, is this a powerful tool that you could use to manipulate people? Absolutely, 100% it could be. The way that I look at this is that our intention is best. We are truly there, in the case of clients, to serve them at the highest possible level, just thinking about in every circumstance what is best for the other person, not what is best for me, not how do I make commission, but what is actually best for this person in this situation. Should they not be moving? Should they be attempting to pull equity out and buy an investment property, right? And lease this one out? Like, what is the best thing for somebody in that moment? So when your intention is best and you're utilizing these tools, then it's not manipulation, because you're protecting them for the other, from the other, let's say 90% of people that are simply transactional and just working to make the commission. They actually don't love and care about the client. And that leads me to another point. So people feel energy, okay? They do. We are energetic beings having a human experience. So you want people to experience your emotion, which is calm. It is loving. You need to visually imagine your loving heart energy coming outside your body, okay? And then you want to enclose people, including clients, into that bubble of love. I always used to think, love seems so limiting, right? Like, let's say I love my parents this much. I love my friends this much. I love, my daughter and my grandkids this much, right? But why do we only love those people that much? Why can't we just make our love so big that we truly work to love everyone in the world? And I think that's the difference in terms of a mindset to an abundance mindset, a loving mindset that leads you to more abundance in the world, or that fearful, love is limited, there's only so much to go around, and then it will lead you into more scarcity. So I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but if you're listening to this now, you're probably meant to hear that message. The idea is to be generous with your love, to believe that people are ultimately good. And when you believe that, the truth is that that is going to be your experience in the world, right? For the most part, the more you believe people are amazing and kind and generous and can be trusted, and the more that you show up like that, you're actually going to be able to attract those clients and amazing experiences. So for me, I started in real estate back 11 years ago. So in my third year of real estate, with an average price point, we're in the 500,000s, okay? I did 1.1 million gross commission income. That's what I took home by being entirely focused on my clients. And how do I provide that amazing white glove experience service, right? So being really focused on every day listening to my clients like Christmas is coming. How can I add value? How can I give them a special experience, right? We have a thing with the team. Before you are going out on an appointment, you always say to the client, hey, I'm going to pass by Tim Hortons. I'm going by Starbucks. What is your coffee order or your tea order? What can I pick up for you? And then making sure you write that down. And then you want to be bringing that with you when you go and show up to clients. Another fun one is to grab, just the easy scratch and win lottery tickets. Keep those with you, keep gift cards. And when you go meet clients, just saying like, hey, here's a gift, here's a lottery ticket. Hope you get lucky. Maybe your budget goes up. And remembering, that laughter and humor is that highest level of vibration spiritually, and that is where people want to be. They want to be around people that are happy and having a good time, and they're positive. And the more you're like that, the better the quality of the client that you're going to attract, and the better your experience. So I would get up every day, and this is back before that $1 million year. So I would drive this lakefront area. It was a very exclusive, lovely lakefront area. I moved up into the area as a new realtor in an area dominated by 3 main realtors who'd been there forever. So I would drive the lakefront every single day. I would be drinking my Tim Hortons coffee, and I would just visualize, I am so grateful all these buyers and sellers are mine. And I would do that every day. So 30 minutes one way on the lake in the morning, 30 minutes back the other way. The rest of the day, I focused on how do I serve people. So whoever I was going to serve, I was going to wow them with additional things I was doing. So maybe I was in there painting their house. Maybe I was in there steam cleaning carpets. Maybe I was out there fluffing their gardens or dragging in my own furniture and stuff from my house to make theirs better. So right from the beginning, I was focused on that white glove service and how do I do better for people? How do I make this an amazing experience? How can I be generous with them, paying for home inspections, pay for something else, to make a deal work, throwing in commission, and not being so focused on money, but experience and relationship. And I really believe that if that's what you focus on as a new realtor or as a realtor in general, you're going to have a completely different experience. And not only in real estate, but in life. So I hope that helps. And for more tips and tricks, follow me. I just need to figure out how to shut it